Hi kids, today we are going to discuss about the poem Farewell to Barn and Stack and Tree. This poem is a ballad in the structure. A ballad is a poem which is based on a story. And in a ballad, we find a protagonist in it. Not only a protagonist, there are some other characters too. As well as in a ballad, we find conversations, maybe monologues or dialogues, and very rarely soliloquy. And what is a soliloquy? I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. A soliloquy means if someone speaks to himself alone, we call it as a soliloquy. If someone speaks to someone else, but if you don't see the reply given by that particular person, we call it as a monologue. Dialogues are very common, aren't they? You know them. Right? And when we come to this poem, we find the monologues. The narrator addresses to someone called Terence, but you don't see the reply given by him. Hence, we can consider that this is a kind of a unilateral conversation. Unilateral means only one party involves in the conversation. Unilateral. In singular, we call it as Ekaparshaviya. Ekaparshaviya Sangwad. Okay, the poem was composed by A.E. Housman, Alfred Edward Housman, an English scholar and a very talented poet. And his cyclic poem, The Shropshire Lad, is a very popular one. And when we consider the title of this poem, farewell means saying goodbye. Now, this man says goodbye to barn, stack, and tree. These words, barn, stack, and tree, create an environment of a farm. This is an agricultural surrounding. Therefore, the narrator must be a farmer. Hence, at the very beginning of the poem, the reader is having a curiosity. Why is this farmer going to say goodbye to his farm? Since we know that the farm and the farmer are inseparable, aren't they? The poem is narrated in the first person's point of view. That means the narrator is the one who involved in this incident himself. Now, this is a kind of a confession. He confesses about something bad or something evil that he had been involved in. And the narrator addresses to someone called Terence, but throughout the poem, we don't see the replies given by him. That's why at the very beginning, I told you that this is a unilateral conversation. And he says goodbye to his homely figures. For a farmer, barn, stack, and tree, those are homely figures of him, aren't they? And now he is going to say goodbye. Therefore, we have a curiosity that something unfortunate or something an unavoidable circumstance forced him to say goodbye to his farm. Okay, so he says farewell to barn and stack and tree, farewell to the seventh show. Now it hints us that his farm was situated nearby the bank of a river. And he says goodbye to everything and addresses to Terence and says, Terence, look your last at me, for I come home no more. And it emphasizes us that this is their final encounter. For a moment, I have a misgiving whether this man is going to commit suicide or not. He says that, look your last at me, for I come home no more. It highlights that this is their final encounter and this is a permanent escapade. Sun burns on the half-moon hills. Now, it hints us that the son who narrates the poem, he burns inwardly. But the writer says that sun burns, that means the solar, S-U-N, sun. But we feel that the son, the one who speaks these words, he burns inwardly. And he says that by now the blood is dried. This word blood hints us about a crime that had been taken place in the premises of the farm. Sun burns on the half-moon hills, and he says that it's because of this reason that he is going to say goodbye to his farm. And Maurice lies among the hay still, and my knife is by his side. Now it is clear to us that this narrator is a killer. He killed someone called someone called Morris, and he is going to escape. And he confesses his sin to someone called Terence. Then uh, the relationship between the killer and the victim is revealed in the third stanza, and it is a big shock to the reader because he killed his own brother. My mother thinks us long away, 'tis time the field were on. 'Tis time. Now again we find something different. The writer, he abbreviated these two words, it is, as tis. But generally when we abbreviate it, we use it as its, don't we? But if you abbreviate it as its, it would be affected to the rhythm of this poem. Therefore, the writer abbreviated it as tis. 'Tis time the field were on. Now read these lines again, Pute. 'Tis time the field were on, and it's time the field were on. So rather than saying it's time the field were on, 'tis time the field were on, it goes along with the rhythm. The narrator laments over the fate of his mother. She had two sons at rising day, but tonight she'll be alone. Now the writer says she had two sons, that is, she had two boy children at the beginning of the day, but tonight she'll be alone. Now we can interpret it in another way too. She had two sons at rising day. That means in her world there were two sons, two solas in her world earlier. And everyone knows that a son is a son for a mother. But hereafter, the whole world of her will be darkened. Hence, we find that the narrator cries over the fate of his unfortunate mother. Out of all the characters appear in this ballad, I suppose mother is the most unfortunate character, since she lost both of her sons instantly, and this is very bad. And furthermore, he says that here's a bloody hand to shake, and oh man, here's goodbye. Now the man's hands are bloody. Now this means, it doesn't mean that merely he's still having blood stains in his hands. Sometimes he might have washed them off, but till the end of his life we know that these blood stains will remain, and he will be able to escape from the farm, and maybe he'll be able to escape from the law. But there's something that he can't escape from, that is his own conscience. Till the end of his life, it will punish him. Therefore, in my point of view, this poem is a very emotional one, and it gives us a very important life lesson. That is, you must be the master of your emotions, not the slave. If you become the slave of your emotions, you will be trapped into these kind of unfortunate things. Now, this man, since he was unable to control his own emotions, he destroyed several lives, especially the life of his mother, and his own life, and his brother's life. And we find actually a hint for this unfortunate incident. It is not much very clear, but we can assume that there was a triangular love behind this scene. Since the man, he wishes the other person, I wish you strength to bring your pride and a love to keep you clean. So he suggested that it's because of love that he became and he involved in a fratricide. This is a fratricide. A fratricide means killing of his own sibling. So he killed his own brother. It seems to be because of that so-called love. Hence, we can write a lucid, lengthy answer highlighting the point that we must control our emotions, and we are the masters of our emotions. If I say it in nutshell, you are the master, not the slave of your emotions. Okay guys, now we shall discuss some context questions, possible context questions from the poem Farewell to Barn and Stack Country. Mainly, if I take a little example like this, we'll sweat no more on scythe and rake, my bloody hands and I. We'll sweat no more on scythe and rake, my bloody hands and I. Question number A. From where have these lines been taken, and who is the author? These are taken from the poem Farewell to Barn and Stack and Tree. When you are writing the title, be very attentive of the capital letters. Farewell, F capital, to simple T, Barn, capital B, and is a conjunction, therefore simple A. Stack S capital, again and simple T capital. And the writer's name is A.E. Housman, Alfred Edward Housman. And whose words are they? We'll set Normon, Scythe and Rake. The words were spoken by the farmer who killed his own brother. We don't know the name of him, therefore we have to mention him as either the narrator who killed his own brother or the farmer who killed his own brother. To whom are the words uttered? Throughout the poem, we find that the words were uttered to that unknown person called Terence. We don't see him throughout the poem. No words were uttered by him. Therefore, for a moment, one can see that this Terence is, let's say, an omnipresent character. Omnipresent character, maybe, because we don't see him throughout the poem. And who are referred to as we here. We'll sweat no more on Scythe and Rake, my bloody hands and I. Now here we are referred to as the narrator and his own hands, not either Terence or Morris. So he says that we'll sweat no more on Scythe and Rake, my bloody hands and I. And the question number D, the most important one, the comprehension question. What feelings of the speaker are revealed here? Now, throughout the poem, you find the feelings of the speaker are very frustrated, aren't they? Disappointed. Right? Disappointed and frustrated feelings. And his tone is rather melancholic one too. Okay, so this is the poem, Farewell to Barn and Stack Country. Very simple poem, simple language, no complicated literary devices, but it conveys us a very important life lesson. Okay, guys, if you have any questions regarding this poem, do not hesitate to comment and I will definitely reply you. And please like this video, subscribe Lit Godadamu, and share this as well, and keep in touch. Goodbye.